This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Friday, March 6th, 2026. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
President Trump has fired his embattled Homeland Security chief amid growing criticism of her leadership.
Kristi Noem is gone.
Haya Panjwani, Washington.
President Trump says he wants to be involved in picking Iran's next leader. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
Gas prices are up about 30 cents in a week, and if you think they're high now, just wait till next week. I'm Jeff McKay.
House Speaker Mike Johnson and Republican Party leadership are calling for Texas's Tony Gonzalez not to run for re-election. Ed Donahue, Washington.
On Wall Street, oil prices soar, stocks plunged yesterday, and investors waiting for the jobs report this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Legislation meant to end a partial government shutdown fails. I'm Clayton Neville.
Britney Spears has been arrested in Southern California. I'm Mike Hempen.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Less than 24 hours after Kristi Noem faced bipartisan backlash during a Senate hearing where one Republican member questioned whether she was telling the truth, the Homeland Security Secretary was removed from her position and will be replaced by Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin. Correspondent Haya Panjwani has reactions to the removal of Kristi Noem, who instead will be shifted to a position with a new government security initiative.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
well, they
overwhelmingly
were effective in your name recognition. I personally just. To me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot, and I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe.
President Trump has fired his embattled Homeland Security chief amid growing criticism of her leadership. Just this week, Kristi Noem faced scathing bipartisan criticism on Capitol Hill over her handling of the administration's immigration crackdown and disaster response.
From my perspective, her version of the truth and the president's version of the truth are decidedly different.
On social media, the president says he'll nominate GOP Senator Markwayne Mullin to succeed Noem, and he's hoping to bridge a stark divide with Democrats.
I'm going to have a conversation with, if Mr. Schumer wants to sit down and talk to me, I'm going to sit down and talk to him. I want to try to earn their support, and I'm going to be very open and honest with them. And at the end of the day, all I can do is do my job. And so I'm not going to get in the, a tit for tat, but if they have real concerns, I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to see if it's practical. But nothing's going to prevent me from doing my job. I'm going to enforce the policies and the laws that Congress has passed, and we're going to protect our homeland.
The president's announcement came minutes before Noem addressed law enforcement officers in Nashville and did not mention her firing. Instead,
I will forward those grant opportunities to all of you,
seemingly suggesting she'd stay on the job. Top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries is glad she won't.
Kristi Noem is gone. Good riddance.
The president's tabbing her as a special envoy for his new Western Hemisphere security initiative. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
As U.S. and Israeli planes continue pummeling targets inside Iran with airstrikes, President Trump says he wants to be personally involved in picking who'll be the next leader of Iran. John Stolnis has more from Washington.
In a phone call with Axios, the president acknowledged that the son of the assassinated former leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, will likely take his place, but said the government was wasting their time, calling his son, Mojtaba, a lightweight. Quote, I have to be involved in the appointment, like with Delcy Rodriguez in Venezuela. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on Thursday, while the Pentagon's mission does not include regime change.
Ultimately, I think the president's having a heck of a say in who runs Iran, given the ongoing operation we have. So there's no expansion in our objectives. We know exactly what we're trying to achieve.
Hegseth also said people should expect to see an increase in firepower over the next few days.
The amount of firepower over Iran and over Tehran is about to surge dramatically.
In a speech at the White House welcoming the MLS soccer champions, Trump began with remarks about Iran.
Their Navy is gone. 24 ships in 3 days. That's a lot of ships. Their anti-aircraft weapons are gone. So they have no air force, they have no air defense.
And President Trump urged Iranian National Guard forces to lay down their arms and promised immunity if they would cease fighting.
We also urge Iranian diplomats around the world to request asylum and to help us shape a new and better Iran.
In an interview with Time, the president acknowledged Americans in the U.S. could face retaliatory terror strikes from Iran, saying, quote, "I guess, but I think they're worried about that all the time. We think about it all the time. We plan for it. But yeah, we expect some things. Like I said, some people will die. When you go to war, some people will die." One day after a failed Senate vote, the House was unable to advance a bipartisan resolution that would have suspended all offensive military operations in Iran that was not approved by Congress. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
That is the right result. We are not at war. We have no intention of being at war. This is a limited operation. It's an operation that's limited in its scope and duration.
John Stolnis, Washington.
When we return on America in the Morning, the war in Iran hits our wallets here at home. Gas prices on the rise. After these messages. Back on America in the Morning, and we're not out of the woods yet on areas that could receive snowfall today. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
A rather large storm over the plains will bring potentially significant weather on both its warm and cold sides today, with enough cold air wrapping in on that cold side for some snow to build later. AccuWeather winter weather experts say that the highest chance for accumulating snow will be within a fairly narrow band of snow that sets up over western Nebraska and expands at night as it tracks to the north and east, with a thin stripe of 1 to 3 inches of accumulation through tonight, reaching much of the southeastern half of South Dakota and much of central Minnesota as well. Any higher amounts of 3 to 6 inches or more should be largely confined to the Colorado Rockies and the higher elevations of the west, but there can be snow anywhere from the high ground of Utah into Wyoming as well, while showers reach northwestern Oregon and periods of steadier rain make for a wet end to the work week over western Washington. The daylight hours bring areas of rain extending as far to the east as the upper peninsula of Michigan, and showers instead from lower Michigan into western Pennsylvania, but the risk for severe weather will redevelop today as a cold front presses across the nation's midsection. This brings the chance for thunderstorms to produce hail, strong wind gusts, and tornadoes from southern Wisconsin, south and west through far southeastern Minnesota, eastern Nebraska, northern and western Illinois, and straight through northeastern Texas. There can be a spotty afternoon thunderstorm across much of the southeast today as well, with showers and perhaps some areas with some thunder once again over the Florida peninsula. Light rain and drizzle come to an end in the northeast, but it stays rather dreary for many with plenty of clouds overall. In Baltimore, morning drizzle may give way to some sunshine late in the day today, the high 52. For Amarillo, Texas, look for hazy sun and gusty winds, the high 72. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Listen on your preferred platform when you search America in the Morning. Gas prices continue to surge across the nation over the Iran war. America in the Morning's Jeff McKay with the latest on sticker shock at the gas pump.
It hasn't mattered what day you went to fill the tank because each day the prices have gone up higher. AAA says nationwide the average price for a gallon of regular on Friday morning, $3.25. That's up 6 cents from the day before and 27 cents in just 6 days. The increase is blamed on both the war in Iran and ships not traversing the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil usually passes through each day. And even though America is the leading producer of oil in the world, we are still paying more. Reports show gas prices in Fort Myers, Florida soared 35 cents in just 1 day. The price at the pump in Albuquerque, New Mexico, up 50 cents in just about a week. And in Oklahoma, where gas is the cheapest in the nation, prices are still up 36 cents a gallon since Sunday. A barrel of oil now $10 higher in just 7 days. Gas prices are now higher than on the day that former President Joe Biden left office and 15 cents higher than on this same day 1 year ago. According to oil industry analysts, depending on the length of the fighting in the Middle East, $4 a gallon gas is a real possibility. I'm Jeff McKay in Washington.
A Texas House Republican has lost the support of his party following the suicide of a woman he had an affair with. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports this has led Congressman Tony Gonzalez to release a statement late Thursday night saying he'll drop his re-election bid, but says he will remain to finish out the end of his term in Congress.
Gonzalez admitted having an affair with a former staff member who later died by suicide. The House Ethics Committee is investigating. Michigan's Lisa McClain is chair of the Republican conference.
We asked him to withdraw from the race.
Tennessee Republican Tim Burchett thinks Gonzalez's time in Congress is over.
I think he should do the right thing and resign.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says he would support expelling Gonzalez from the House, a rare step that requires a 2/3 vote from the chamber. Gonzalez told a radio talk show host he made a mistake and had a lapse in judgment. There was a lack of faith and takes full responsibility for those actions. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Rising oil prices affecting airline stocks. That and business news next. America in the Morning continues after these messages. Back on America in the Morning. Markets in a tizzy over the war in Iran. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger has the update.
Wall Street opens this morning after a big drop for stocks on Wall Street yesterday. The war with Iran is seen as getting worse and wider. Iran says it attacked an oil tanker, spooking investors, sending oil prices higher. The Dow had been down 1,000 points, but ended the day down 780 yesterday. Major averages are all in the losing column for the year.
Everyone knows you buy the dips on these geopolitical events. You don't always just buy the absolute first dip that you're 3% from record highs. I think that's what we're trying to sort through.
CNBC's Mike Santoli. Oaktree Capital's Howard Marks was asked on CNBC what investors should do about the war and their money.
Well, I can't spend as much time thinking about the war from an investment point of view because I have no idea what's going to happen. And this is not predictable. So I don't think there's anything intelligent for investors to do in reaction to the war except to not be Pollyanna and not be suicidal. Both of those things usually fail to work.
U.S. crude topped $81 a barrel intraday yesterday, its highest since the summer of 24 before pulling back a bit. Oil tankers sitting docks at the Strait of Hormuz, not moving as it's too dangerous. And when Iran announced it attacked one, the markets took another leg lower yesterday. About 20% of the world's oil supply goes through that strait. Prices at the pump are soaring. It's been inflicting more pain on American consumers already tired of inflation. AAA says you're now paying at least 25 cents more for a gallon of regular just since Monday. Diesel at a 3-year high. That's costly for shippers and trucking companies.
I was driving by a gas station yesterday. The guy was outside changing the numbers 15 cents higher on unleaded fuel. So, just ask anyone coming out of a Costco how they feel about inflation. They'll tell you it doesn't feel too good.
JP Morgan's Bill Eigen on CNBC. Here's Gas Buddy's Patrick DeHaan on CNBC.
This is going to start adding up for Americans. Over the next 7 days, I estimate that Americans collectively are going to be spending roughly $900 million more on gasoline than just a week ago. And as oil prices continue to go up, we could see the national average going up another 10 to 15, maybe even 20 cents a gallon over the next week or two.
Rising oil prices hit airline stocks yesterday. Here's CNBC's Phil LeBeau.
It's not surprising that we see the airlines under pressure once again. Remember, the second largest cost for an airline after labor is jet fuel, and jet fuel prices are rising. That's the reason you see the largest U.S. airlines all down between basically 5% and 7%. And here's the reason why. Spot jet fuel prices up 40% in the last week.
On today's watch list, people will watch oil, but they're also watching jobs. It's Jobs Friday. The February employment report will be out this morning.
A highly anticipated number. Thank you, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, oops, she did it again. After these messages. The temporary government shutdown continues as legislation that would have funded the Department of Homeland Security failed to pass in the Senate. Details from correspondent Clayton Neville.
Senate Democrats blocked a bill that would end the partial government shutdown and fund the Department of Homeland Security. The legislation needed 60 votes to pass, but failed 51 to 45. Democrats have said that they will not bend on demands surrounding immigrations and customs enforcement. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats would be willing, though, to come to the table.
If they are prepared to make sure that ICE conducts itself like every other law enforcement agency in the country and stops brutalizing and killing American citizens and law-abiding immigrant families.
Democrats have called for ICE and CBP agents to be unmasked and for warrants to be tightened. Republicans argued ahead of Thursday's vote that the conflict with Iran increased threats to the homeland, but Democrats aren't backing down from initial demands. I'm Clayton Neville.
Oops, she did it again. Britney Spears was stopped by police driving on a California highway suspected of being under the influence. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
Britney Spears has been arrested in Southern California. The Ventura County Sheriff's Office website says Spears was arrested Wednesday night. Records show she was taken into custody by the California Highway Patrol, but the charge is unclear. Sheriff's records say she was released this morning and has a May 4th court date scheduled. Spears was born in Mississippi and raised in Louisiana. She was a teen pop phenomenon who became a defining superstar of the 90s and 2000s. I'm Mike Hempen.
America in the Morning for Friday, March 6th, 2026 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Coming up this half hour.
Calls for Republicans to step out of their respective runoffs in Texas. I'm Clayton Neville.
A Marine veteran's protest earned him charges.
Palestine will be free.
And a broken arm. I'm Joan Jones.
The latest on the war in Iran. A mom arrested after her two daughters are found dead in Cleveland. A senator and congressman decide not to run for re-election. And Savannah Guthrie pays a visit to her Today Show co-workers.
24 states are suing over new global tariffs President Trump imposed following his Supreme Court loss. Mike Hempen, Washington.
Pixar is back with a new movie that tells a pretty unique story. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. America in the Morning continues this Friday with a check of the national forecast and a chance for severe weather. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
In general, the highest chance for thunderstorms to turn severe does stay over the plains states, where the clash between a warm, moist air mass and a drier one pushing out of the desert southwest has helped to spark some potent storms. The difference for today is that a cold front also will be sliding eastward into the area while a whole disturbance pulls to the north and east. What this means is that a larger area may face severe weather than on Thursday, with the potential for even more widespread thunderstorm impacts as well. From areas of the I-35 corridor in Texas just south of Waco, north and east through eastern Nebraska, all but eastern parts of Arkansas, even the St. Louis and Chicago metro areas, and right through southern Wisconsin, storms through tonight may produce hail, strong wind gusts of at least 65 to 75 miles per hour, and tornadoes. Even outside of these areas, there's a general uptick in thunder risk coming up over the next couple of days as warmer conditions provide more fuel for thunderstorm development, and much of the south from eastern Louisiana through central Georgia and the Florida Peninsula will be in line for a spotty afternoon thunderstorm. Showers continue to dot southern Florida for yet another day, with non-severe storms more likely into west central Texas and Oklahoma, while steadier rain falls over much of Minnesota and northern portions of both Wisconsin and Michigan. Precip turns more showery instead from lower Michigan to Ohio and central Pennsylvania as well, with drizzle coming to an end in and around the major northeast cities of the I-95 corridor. Watch for snow in the west, especially from western South Dakota into Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, and the Wasatch Range of Utah, with showers in northwestern Oregon and steadier rain toward western Washington. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. In the Middle East, President Trump said Thursday he should be involved in choosing Iran's next supreme leader as the U.S. and Israel hammered the country for a sixth day. He called thoughts of the son of the late Ayatollah Khamenei taking over as supreme leader unacceptable. The UK's prime minister says his military will send more jet fighters to Qatar, but they'll not be used in the fight against Iran. The U.S. announced late last night that it will allow India to buy cheap Russian oil to ease energy fears, despite that funds their war effort against Ukraine. Following Hezbollah's firing missiles and drones into Israel from Lebanon, Israeli troops are entering southern Lebanon, attacking terrorist strongholds. Overnight, Iran attacked 2 residential buildings and a hotel in Bahrain, continuing their strategy of attempting to bring more countries into the conflict. Correspondent John Gambrell reports neighboring Azerbaijan accuses Iran of a drone attack and vows to retaliate, while Sri Lankan authorities say they're trying to safeguard an Iranian naval vessel after the U.S. torpedoed and sank an Iranian frigate that was near its territorial waters.
Azerbaijan says that Iranian drones have smashed into its territory. This is further widening the war in the region that involves Israel, America, and Iran. Now, Iran denied that its drones targeted Azerbaijan, but it comes as Iran is growing more concerned about ethnic minorities potentially coming in and disrupting the country as it faces this war. Already, we have heard from some Kurdish forces saying that they're thinking about going over the border into Iran, and Iran also has a very large Azeri population as well. Meanwhile, off the coast of Sri Lanka, authorities there say there's another Iranian naval vessel off their waters. Now, this comes as an American submarine already sank one Iranian frigate there, and possibly this new ship could be a target for it. Meanwhile, we continue to see airstrikes just pound Tehran. Some of these airstrikes likely from Israel and targeted sports stadiums that are likely being used by Iran's Revolutionary Guard and its all-volunteer Basij force as bases, as other sites have already been struck in this airstrike campaign.
Correspondent John Gambrell reporting. Results from Tuesday's primary elections in Texas are leading to calls from Washington for some Republican candidates to drop out of their runoff races. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports from Dallas that following news of his affair, Congressman Tony Gonzalez says he will drop his re-election bid.
A message from the Ethics Committee this week said that House leadership has asked Congressman Gonzalez to withdraw from his race for re-election. House Speaker Mike Johnson confirmed that to reporters.
We've encouraged him to drop out of the race for re-election. I think that is politically, that's a death penalty, okay?
Meanwhile, the Republican Senate candidates in Texas are headed into a runoff. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is challenging incumbent senior Senator John Cornyn. President Trump has yet to endorse either candidate, but Senate Majority Leader John Thune told Fox News that Cornyn is the best candidate.
He is an incredibly effective senator for the state of Texas, a strong conservative voice here in the United States Senate, and represents by far our very best hope of making sure that Texas stays red.
The runoff election is scheduled for May 26th. President Trump has suggested that the candidate he does not endorse should step out of the race. In a social media post, Paxton said he would consider dropping out of the race if GOP leaders agree to abolish the filibuster and pass President Trump's SAVE Act, which would require people to provide proof of citizenship, among other things, when they register to vote. The comment likely meant to bring attention to Senator Cornyn's hesitancy to do away with the filibuster. I'm Clayton Neville.
A man's arm was broken this week as he protested U.S. military action in Iran and Israel's war in Gaza while inside the Capitol at a Senate hearing in Washington in his full uniform. Correspondent Joan Jones reports that one of those who helped Secret Service usher the veteran out of the Senate chamber was a sitting U.S. senator.
Brian McGinnis stood up inside a Senate Armed Services hearing and shouted, "America does not want to send its sons and daughters to the war for Israel." And within seconds, Capitol Police dragged him in a chaotic struggle toward the door. He grabbed onto the door frame to make it more difficult for the officers. And that's when Senator Tim Sheehy, a former Navy SEAL, stepped in to help the officers remove McGinnis, whose arm eventually was reportedly broken in that struggle.
No one wants to fight for Israel!
In congressional hearings, outbursts are treated as procedural violations and Capitol Police rule. His own social media post revealed that McGinnis is a pro-Palestinian supporter who believes October 7th was a false flag operation.
I looked for so many atrocities, and I didn't see that many. I definitely didn't see beheaded babies and people put in ovens and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying October 7th was a good thing. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it was a false flag, and it's been used to carry out a far worse event.
He's facing charges, including assault on a police officer and resisting arrest. Congressman Sheehy is not facing any legal scrutiny for his involvement. I'm Joan Jones.
When we return on America in the Morning, U.S. states demanding compensation for Trump tariffs. After these messages. There was shock and horror in Cleveland this week when police found the bodies of two young girls stuffed inside suitcases and left in a park in shallow graves. Thursday night, police arrested the mother of the two girls, ages 10 and 8, and have charged her with murder. 26-year-old Aaliyah Henderson was first detained by police following an exhausting investigation and a search of her home. The father of one of the two victims told police he had been fighting for custody of his daughter for 5 years when he was given the tragic news. 24 states announced they're taking legal action over President Trump's recent tariffs. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports that one state, Connecticut, is seeking $1,700 per family for tariff-related expenditures.
24 states are suing over new global tariffs President Trump imposed following his Supreme Court loss. Democratic attorneys general from Oregon, Arizona, California, and New York are leading the lawsuit. They argue the president has overstepped his power with planned 15% tariffs on much of the world. Trump has said the tariffs are essential to address trade deficits. He imposed duties under Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974 after the Supreme Court struck down tariffs he imposed last year. The lawsuit argues the 1974 law was intended to be used only in specific situations. Mike Hempen, Washington.
The United States and Venezuela have agreed to reestablish diplomatic and consular relations. The State Department made the announcement saying the move will allow for stability and support recovery in Venezuela following the U.S. capture of Nicolas Maduro. This week, Interior Secretary Doug Burgum met with acting Venezuelan President Delcy Rodriguez to discuss oil and mineral opportunities. The State Department released a statement saying, quote, "Our engagement is focused on helping the Venezuelan people move forward through a phased process that creates the conditions for a peaceful transition to a democratically elected government," end quote. Relations between the two countries were cut off in 2019 during the first Trump administration in a decision by Maduro. Shifting gears, a surprise out of Montana where Republican Senator Steve Daines abruptly pulled out of his Senate race. The move is actually a benefit to the GOP in Montana, as the timing prevents Democrats from fielding a top recruit for the open Montana seat. If Daines had withdrew too soon, then the opposition party would have had a chance at fielding one of several potential Democrats, which could have included Senator Jon Tester. Daines withdrew from the race minutes before the filing deadline. Kurt Alm, who was U.S. Attorney in Montana, filed to run 8 minutes before the deadline passed. With the deadline now closed, no top-tier Democrat can jump into the race. A suspect has been arrested in the killings of 3 women in Utah. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
A suspect's in custody after a triple homicide in southeastern Utah that shut down nearby schools and had Wayne County authorities warning residents to lock their doors. Lieutenant Cameron Roden is with the Utah Highway Patrol.
The suspect has been identified as 22-year-old Ivan Miller.
Police believe Miller killed a woman in her 80s on Wednesday at her home in Lyman, Utah, then stole her vehicle. He then allegedly drove to a trailhead about 10 miles away near Capitol Reef National Park, killed 2 women who were hiking together, and fled in one of their vehicles. The husbands of the hikers went looking for them and alerted authorities. The unfamiliar car at the trailhead led investigators to the first victim.
Investigators utilized automated license plate readers and integrated vehicle tracking services to monitor the stolen vehicles' movements.
Police followed Miller's path to Pagosa Springs, Colorado, where he was found after a short search. There's no indication of a motive or that Miller knew any of the victims. I'm Jennifer King.
America in the Morning continues. When it comes to spotting AI-generated faces, it's not always about tech skills. The new old tech guy, Chuck Palm, has that story.
We've all seen the headlines. AI-generated faces and images are getting so good, some say nobody can tell the difference anymore. But new research out of Vanderbilt University says, hold on, not so fast. It's not your IQ or not how much you know about tech, and it's not even how great you are at recognizing real human faces that predicts if you'll be able to spot an AI fake. It's something much simpler and more surprising, your everyday object recognition skill. That's the ability to tell apart visually similar things, like distinguishing one kind of bird from another, or spotting subtle differences in everyday objects. A study just published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology says domain general object recognition predicts human ability to tell real from AI-generated faces. Professor Isabelle Gauthier created what they call the AI face test. They showed people lineups of faces and asked them to pick out the synthetic ones. Time and again, folks with stronger recognition skills nailed it consistently. Even those with top face recognition didn't reliably predict success. Gauthier said, "We're shocked to see how intelligence or even tech training did not help accurately judge if a face is AI. Bottom line is AI images keep improving, and it's not about being smarter, it's about how fast you can find Where's Waldo." Visit thenewoldtechguy.com. I'm Chuck Palm.
Friday Sports is in. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
NBA Thursday night, the Nuggets got a triple-double from Nikola Jokic and topped the Lakers 121-13. Meanwhile, LeBron James passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most made field goals in NBA history. He passed Kareem at the top of the scoring list about 3 years ago. A possible finals preview, the Spurs handled the Pistons 121-106, leading wire-to-wire thanks to 38 points and 16 rebounds from Victor Wembanyama. Jazz got a career-high 32 from Ace Bailey in a win over the Wizards. Trae Young had 12 points in 19 minutes in his D.C. debut. Timberwolves topped the Raptors for their fifth straight. Heat hammered the Nets. That's 10 losses in 10 for Brooklyn coach Jordi Fernandez.
Yeah, way better fight, and I think today we got better. All right, obviously not what we won with coming out with a loss, but a lot of good things.
Just not a dub. NHL, the Rangers broke open a tie game with a 4-goal third period as they sapped the Maple Leafs 6-2. That's New York's first regulation home win since before Thanksgiving. Meantime, Toronto is winless in 6 games since the Olympic break. And the Kings down the Islanders to give interim coach DJ Smith his first win. Artemi Panarin scored his first LA goal since coming over in a trade last month. By the way, the NHL trade deadline is this afternoon. And at the World Baseball Classic, Pool C play in Tokyo, wins for Korea and Australia. The U.S. opens play against Brazil tonight in Houston. That's Friday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, Savannah Guthrie pays a visit to her co-workers at NBC after these messages. Back on America in the Morning, NBC Today Show host Savannah Guthrie visits her co-workers in New York for the first time since the disappearance of her mother in Arizona a month ago. Correspondent Carrie Antfinger has details.
Today Show representatives say Savannah Guthrie made an off-camera appearance at the studio on Thursday. Still photos taken from outside the studio show her hugging crew members, as well as moments where she wiped away tears. In a statement, Today Show representatives said during her visit she thanked colleagues for their support since her 84-year-old mother, Nancy Guthrie, went missing from her Arizona home a month ago. The family has made a series of video pleas for information.
It is never too late to do the right thing.
With their last one in February, offering a $1 million reward for information leading to her recovery.
We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home. Hope against hope. As my sister says, we are blowing on the embers of hope. We also know that she may be lost. She may already be gone. But we need to know where she is.
Show representatives say Savannah Guthrie does plan to return to the air at some point, but, quote, remains focused right now supporting her family and working to help bring Nancy home. Nancy Guthrie was last seen at her home outside Tucson on January 31st and was reported missing the following day. Authorities believe she was taken against her will, and solid information in the case has been hard to come by. Savannah Guthrie has been co-anchor of the NBC morning show since 2012. One of her former colleagues, Hoda Kotb, has returned to the show to fill in.
Correspondent Carrie Antfinger reporting. Well, if you'd like to escape reality, get thoughts away from the war, you can lose yourself in the movie theaters as Pixar is debuting a new film that talks to the animals. Kevin Carr has a sneak peek at Hoppers.
Ahead of Toy Story 5, Pixar hopes to revitalize its brand with Hoppers.
We created a revolutionary technology that gives us unprecedented access to the animal world.
Hoppers follows a teenage girl trying to stop a freeway from being built over her favorite patch of land. She runs across an invention that lets her inhabit the mind of a robotic beaver so she can interact with the animals.
How you doing, girl? Are we vibing? What's up?
I understand you.
Kind of like Avatar.
This is nothing like Avatar.
Pixar has had some stumbles recently, and this one goes back to their classic high-concept ideas. It swings for the fences like some of the studio's best.
She was gonna eat you.
Well, yeah, she caught me. It's pond rules.
There is some conflicting messaging, however, like one of the world's biggest corporations throwing down for the forest creatures in lieu of industrial progress, against a backdrop of its own corporate development projects.
Fellow animals! The humans have stolen their last inch of land from us! We gotta fight back!
But what's some entertainment without a modicum of hypocrisy?
Let's squish the humans! Yeah! Wait. Squish?
As creative as it is, elements feel derivative.
How did he get a little crown?
That's your question?
So it does kind of play Pixar's greatest hits, from the opening of Up to the final car chase in Finding Dory.
That was intense.
Still, Hoppers offers a vibrant and clever film for the whole family.
Don't be a stranger. Looking good, friend.
Hoppers gets 3.5 beaver dams out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
America in the Morning for Friday, March 6th, 2026 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.